Okay, hello everyone. Um, this is my free motion quilting setup, and I just thought I'd just give you a little brief view of how I get along doing this free motion quilting. I'm just using a vintage Singer sewing machine. You could use almost any sewing machine, it doesn't have to be a special one. This one cost me $60. I found it in a second-hand shop and I fixed it up and then set it up so that I just do free motion quilting on it and I don't bother about anything else. Tonight I'm using an Aurifil thread. It is a very good thread. I've also had good success with a Rasand thread. It does a very nice job too. You need to, when you first start your free motion quilting, make sure you draw up your thread from the base and bring it up to the top. It'll save you a lot of trouble down the track. You don't want to be quilting in extra threads into the back because you'll just have to cut them out later. The main thing about the free motion quilting is really just consistency and practice, and don't be scared of it. When you speed up too much and get excited, you'll get longer stitches. If you try and keep your speed consistent, when I say that I mean speed of the machine running and also speed of how you're moving it, the fabric through the machine. So anyway, I can just show you that now. It's really helpful to have the gloves because that will really stabilise the fabric for you when you're moving it around. And if you read my blogs on the free motion quilting setup, you'll read about what I've talked about as the machine setup and your mind setup of how you're going to actually do the free motion quilting, because it's a continuous line drawing. And then then is the fabric setup, how to put your quilt sandwich together so you don't get a lot of ruffles underneath or tucks or folds that are very infuriating when you turn your quilt back and you find that you've sewn in an extra piece that you didn't want to, or it's jumbled up against itself. So if you look at that, you'll see how to do it. And I use the same idea with every quilt. Doesn't matter if it's a queen size quilt or a baby quilt. You don't need to roll it up. You just need to reposition it frequently. As I said, doesn't matter about the size. Don't worry about that at all. You start from the centre and kind of work out in quadrants. So if you start out from one and do one quadrant, and not all at once, you do a little bit and then you readjust your fabric. And when you're first starting, make sure you take time to check the back as you go along and make sure that you haven't made any boo-boos or that you're not tucking in the edge of the fabric into some of your sewing. Alright, so we'll just do some of that now. I'm just quilting daisies tonight because I love flowers. I call it quilt to fit. It's very good if you have an easy design. It doesn't matter, you can make the flower a bit bigger or a bit smaller. Fit it into your space. That's all we're going to do. So as I said, consistency. After I've done an amount about like that, I'll adjust the quilt. I'll check it, I'll check my work on the back and make sure I'm happy with how it's turning out, and then just adjust it, make sure that there's no tension on it, okay? The other thing is, just as a rule of thumb, try not to get too uptight with your shoulders, and when your bobbin runs out, get up and have a walk around, otherwise you might end up with a bit of a sore neck. So that's very good tips, I think, and then you don't get too tired doing it. So just, if you do a bobbin at a time, get up, move around, refill your bobbin, and then if you're feeling in the mood, carry on. Okay? The other thing is, if you're going to stop somewhere, try and stop in a place where you can not notice it too much. For instance, if I'm going to stop, I might stop at the centre of a flower or at the end of a loop, so that when I restart it, you're not going to notice so much that you might have tighter or extra stitches in that spot, and that way you can easily work it in without it being too noticeable where you've stopped and started. Anyway, I hope you give it a try. Let me know if you do. SusieScraps.com